welcome. Welcome to day 4 of the workshop. I'm so grateful. Welcome. So if you are new here, this is day 4 of the Heart Leaders Workshop. This is a workshop which is really on your leadership and emotional resilience as a leader in your home, as a leader in your career or business, or both, like me. I'm a doctor and a coach. As a leader for yourself, right? Self-leading, it starts from within. So this is day 4 of my HART method. This is my own IP, my own intellectual property, and really teaching out the methodology that's worked for me, for my clients and my private patients, in really becoming a wealthy warrior leader. This is not just wealth in income, influence and impact in their organizations and in their service to the world, but also, as I mentioned, in their family, in their career. It's been transformative for not only my own life, but also for themselves. It really comes down to emotional regulation. When you're really able to regulate your emotions, become resilient in that, which doesn't mean you always push through, right? Having that balance between intuition and logic, okay? Having that balance also between spirituality and science. Okay, so yes, I am a full-time medical doctor, I'm a consultant family physician, but I'm also a coach. I'm very spiritual, and I also believe and have based my award-winning coaching program and my award-winning medical practice on evidence-based practice. So both are important to me. You know, if you're very spiritual like me, instead of using words such as intuition and logic, you may speak more to the divine feminine and the divine masculine, or whatever works for you. And those are gender neutral, by the way. It's not about being a man or a woman. We all have both of those energies within us. It's very fluid. It's not one or the other. And it really depends on the situation that you're in, what type of way in which you're choosing to lead in that specific situation. This is why it's so important to really have great self-awareness and to really lead from within. When you are a master of self-leadership, which is an ongoing process throughout life, okay, through this beautiful school of life, but when you are a master of that and becoming even more of a master of that, it really amplifies your leadership of others, and that it is done as part of your service to the world to really help. Okay. And the beauty of this is that it really helps you no matter what's going on right now for you, that you are growing through, that maybe you're grieving through, that maybe you are grieving a past version, or you are starting an exciting new chapter in your life, really answering the call. So this elevation into this new chapter in your life, that doesn't mean you don't have gratitude for your past experiences. Sometimes it isn't that there's something wrong that's happened. It's just that it's time for a new chapter. It's time for this elevation. Sometimes something very contrasting or difficult or challenging has happened. Sometimes it's a real dark night of the soul. You know, this is going to present itself to you. I call this an opportunity, but it's going to present itself to you in very different ways. But it is up to you to, you know, you can turn this into an opportunity for yourself to really rise through this, right? To be on that high frequency, which is sometimes leaning more into inner peace as opposed to joy and happiness, depending on the external circumstances. But it is really a beautiful way to live. Since I've leaned into this aspect of my journey many years ago, I really find that it's really helped me to reframe whilst honoring my feelings during challenging situations, and to really turn that into an opportunity for incredible growth, right? On the back of that has been incredible growth. So I'm really presenting this as an opportunity for you, and this is through my HART method. Now, days 1, 2, and 3, we really leaned into each pillar of the HART methodology. Okay, so we had on day 1, really harnessing your energy. Excuse me, this is in grounding. This is really in deep emotional healing. Okay, and then we have E, day 2, which is on empowerment, but also in that emotional regulation. Like, what does that even mean? What does that look like when it's happening right here, right now? What do you do, right? So that you can just do it, and it doesn't have to be this long drawn out process. We're able to mentally reset ASAP, and to also do it in a way that we are honoring our feelings. We're not pushing anything down. It's not toxic positivity. We are really growing and working through it and applying a beautiful meaning to certain situations that really adds to your purpose, right? That we are all here for in our own unique way of doing things. Okay, you may have the same service and product, just like I'm a GP, right? And there are thousands of GPs, right? Hundreds of thousands. And why is it that some will be like myself, award-winning and get great reviews, and some will not? I've had my fair share of difficulties as well, and it's not that one is better than the other, but often it's the way in which you are showing up for your service, and this must be in a balanced way. This isn't actually always about working harder. Of course, you are taking soul aligned action, yes, so you do have to put the work in, right? This is just I'm all in for meditation and prayer, but it is also what you do from that version of you that has the inner knowing. Then what are you doing? So really, this is about emotional resilience, okay, to really awaken that inside of you and to then stay on that level. So you are still moving sort of up and down through the different emotions, anger, anxiety. It's none of those are wrong. Okay, none of those are wrong, but obviously nobody wants to sit in that emotion, let's say of anger or anxiety, which can be low vibrational, because on a cellular level it's not good. It isn't good physiologically to be in that emotion of chronic stress. Physiologically, it has huge detrimental impact on our physical vessel. But there is what you want to learn is to how do I actually process that? And that's where really regulating your emotions can really help you. It actually helps even with medical conditions, because you're responding to the emotion, which is stress. How do we get stress in our body? There's a stress hormone called cortisol. So that elevates when we are not actually regulating our emotion. It's elevating that and then causing this chronic stress and various other conditions that either come immediately or sort of it's a slow trickle over time. And obviously over time that compounds and compounds and compounds. So I don't want you to be scared of this, but I just want to change a narrative around that, in that you have absolute control in this, in regulating your emotions and being emotionally resilient, which means actually that you often don't push through because you're so self-aware of how you feel, but you still need to honor the work that you're doing, whether that's for your family, for your career and business, for yourself, self-care as well. So it doesn't mean you don't do anything. Often it's just the way in which you're doing it. Okay, you're doing it from that high frequency. We talked about this in more detail yesterday, so you can go back to day 3. But when you're doing it from that version of you that is you're not acting in anxiety or anger, or you've been able to regulate your emotions to really turn down, like the volume knob, to turn it down to a level of peace, that you are able to operate from that and be aligned and anchored to that version of you that it is understanding why you're here, who you're here for, and your calling. It's really important, okay, because you can be taking a lot of action, you can be working so-called really hard for you and for your family and your team and doing all these things, but feeling like you're not having much traction because you can be very attached to the results. Obviously we do want the results, partly the reason we're doing it, but your whole self esteem and confidence and everything is all riding on that, and that's not a healthy place to be in. So you need to detach from that and really go back into joy and play and creativity of just enjoying, like me doing this workshop with no attachment to the results of it, just the pure joy of me creating this and serving when I'm seeing my patients and clients, or just enjoying that interaction. And that version of me that wanted worked so hard to get to this point, right? In addition to having gratitude for where I'm going, okay, and people that are enrolling into my masterminds and into my programs and reading my books and my courses and teaching this to my kids at bedtime, as well as learning it myself and honing my craft, right? So you really want to lean into that aspect of it. So this is all about rising up, okay? So it's rising up, being on that high frequency, but it is also about rescaling up your impact, your income, your influence, because that's where you can actually, increase your productivity and actually help more people if you really look after yourself, right? So sometimes you might actually need to take a time out. Often I'm doing many fit notes and sick notes, not that I'm, advocating just being off work all the time, but you do need that. You don't want to be so stressed, because it's going to affect your productivity anyway, and also the way in which you show up for yourself and for your family and everything that you're doing. So you really want to do it from that level. And on top of that, you need to be anchored to that. Of course, there are challenges, and you're still going to go through anger and anxiety and emotions, all of that, but it is a much lower oscillation, and it is still anchored to that. And sometimes that might be consciously, meditating, journaling, whatever it is for you, but it's really, really important. So it's rising up and staying there, and then taking action from that version of you, right? Who is that legacy leader, wealthy warrior, creator, wealthy warrior leader. And that's really in, in how you want to present, yourself to the world, whatever that is, that can actually increase to, multi 6-7-figure coaching consulting company, as I do, being a published author, all of these things, and this is what I exactly, show you how to do as well. So this is really about, this can really help you, okay, to fully step into your full potential. That's what I want you to really think about, okay? I want you to really think about how this is bigger than just you and income, and also even bigger than you and emotions. Not that that's not important, so it's not belittling that at all, but it is showing why it's so important that you do need to master this, not just for yourself, it's for the others that are looking up to you, and also the opportunity cost in you not doing that. Well, I'm not trying to put us into fear here, but in opportunity cost of not doing that is missing out on that version of you that you could be for your family and for yourself and for those you serve, and other ways in which you could be serving. Okay, so really, and if you want the workbook, will go into this in a lot more detail, okay, and my books. If you don't have that, just comment or DM me books or workbook, and I'll email that over to you, okay? But this is really where you can go deep on this, okay? You can really launch or scale up your service, take it, as I have, to multi 6 figures, some people 7 more. Books, we go deep into how to do that, public speaking, really elevating your service so it's premium, and that way you are serving at such a high level, you can actually help more people and do more, right, and be in better health physically and mentally, okay? So I want you to really put some questions up here. I want you to really write those down, or you can get the workbook and it will be there for you. And what I want you to do is really work through this. So how can this really be, if you do this, I'd really urge you to think about, how does this actually help you with your purpose, right? Because in times of challenge, I find that this anchors me to it. It really anchors to this being something bigger than just me. I am important, but I mean, even more, like how many people are more I can help, when my emotions are regulated and really operating on that high level. It helps me in being a peak performer as well, and it's not just about doing more, but enjoying the process, this delicious, juicy journey that we're on. So how you can really use your gifts to serve more, whether that's becoming a coach, whether that's becoming a published author, a speaker, a consultant, doing all of it, becoming certified. I have a certification program for my HART method and those consultants who work, alongside me. Whatever way in which that resonates for you is unique to you. Okay. So then the beauty is you can still do this whilst working full time, as I do. I'm a full-time medical doctor. And and I'm doing that to an award-winning, just won an award in December. So I'm grateful for that. I'm not saying that from a point of ego, but just showing that you can actually do this whilst doing incredibly well in your career and in your business that you're building up, which is a spiritually led business and really part of your divine calling and one of premium leadership service, whilst also being a leader in your family, right? When your kids are sitting exams and you're talking about how to manage playground politics and their emotional health and their emotional resilience. And I really want you to teach this to your families, to your loved ones. This isn't just for you. Like, the ripple effect of this is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Okay. So you can share this through your unique gifts with your course, your program, your books, your speaking engagements in your industry. Become a number one leader in your industry. Why? It's not for this title, oh, look at me, I'm the number one. It's so that you can get that out there more into the world. Obviously, I'm a doctor, so that means I'm UK registered, right? I can only see you otherwise as a patient and teach this as a patient in the UK, one-to-one. And not often that's a certain postcode as well, or as a private GP, then it's for the whole of UK. And you have to be in the country, at the time as well, if you want any prescriptions or referrals. So, it really made me think when I was a regional medical director, even though I was working with the government and in this position, thinking about how can I really get this information out there more into the world to help more people, and to also in a way where I am doing it in a limitless way, right? Obviously it's safe, it's evidence-based, but still, there are things that I talk about in terms of spirituality and science and some more holistic ways, which are not in the very traditional medical model. And that doesn't make it wrong. It's just a different way of doing things, right? So for me, going into doing this as a coach or consultant, especially as a coach, has transformed my life. I honestly have to say, it's not just professionally, but personally. It gives me a creativity, it gives me a vessel through which I can exercise this, right? I can create this. This is very fulfilling for me. So even if I wasn't paid multi-six figures to do this, I would still be sharing this. Okay. And that's why even doing these workshops brings me so much joy, because it really, honestly, this is me. For me, this is me rising up. This is accountability for me to stay on that high frequency and be accountable to even my own emotional health, my own emotional regulation, right? If I'm going to be teaching this, I need to be a master at it, or I need to at least be continuously honing my craft, right? And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but I'm a lot more self-aware. And that then ties into then how I am with my husband, with my kids, with my patients, my clients, how I show up. If I show up, that's really important. Otherwise it just eats away at you, and you end up not showing up. And that might actually feel comfortable at that time. When you're at that lower level, it can actually feel comfortable. But actually it's when you rise up that, that can actually be really difficult, so it sometimes can actually make you feel quite anxious. But actually when you really are learning when you learn to regulate your emotions, that is life-changing. Honestly, it can make a difference, whether it's you're at work, in a meeting. So you might be saying the words in the meeting, right? Like you might have practiced, for your meeting, you might practice the script, you might have practiced your key points, have the slides, all of those things, especially being in a top leadership position. So this isn't actually anything about your ability. This is more about how you're feeling at that time. So if you're feeling so anxious, there are a lot of peak performers who are very anxious, but they're able to perform really well in the meeting and meet the KPIs and the deliverables. And it's very high stake, quite stressful situation, right? Especially, in a Fortune 500 company, or, the emergency room or wherever it is. So this isn't actually about ability. This is about not doing it in a state of anxiety or stress or even anger, and to be able to just enjoy your work, to be in a state of peace and calm and relax, and still, be really over delivering, on the KPIs. Actually you can be calmer and you can actually go faster, right? You can be calm and relaxed and have spent, had enough sleep and had spent time with your family and your own self-care, and be able to enjoy your work as well. We really need to think about emotional well-being in the workplace for you, but also for your team and for your family and your own clients and people that you serve. But that really starts with you. Okay, and I would go as far as to say that you have a responsibility, if you're in a leadership position, which we all are, and if you are a parent, or a spouse, you are, in a leadership position in that way with your family. But even, as and as you do this more and more, you will start to see how it's really actually having a ripple effect. The more that you work on yourself, the more, even though it feels scary, maybe taking time off work or taking your time to do a piece of work that you normally would have just whizzed through, just to really enjoy it, and to really, not because you're worried and you're checking things, but to just really enjoy it and savor it and enjoy the process. Sometimes that can actually bring on anxiety because you just want to get through it. That's just been the way you've been used to doing things. That's like that version of you. But now we're moving to a different version of you. It's with different thoughts, different emotions, different actions, and different ways of doing things. It might be the same piece of work, but it's a different way you're elevating yourself through meditation journaling. And then you're doing it from that version of yourself. It's a very different experience. So that is really leading, from within. So really think about that. I'm sending over all of the questions so you can have a look at all of that. Just work through all of the questions and, just book a consult. Okay. And then we can go through that, in detail, your answers to the questions, or maybe create more like a plan that we can then review it in maybe sort of 3 months time. I think that's quite a good time period. It takes, I would say, about 30 to 90 days to really implement and to really integrate and actually start to embody something. It takes that amount of time, but you can do this meditation and this journaling of these questions yourself, as well as with the books that I'm going to send over to you. All of those things, you can do all of that. Okay, so there's no reason why you can't do that. But this will really help you with your patients, with your clients, your way of doing things, your service, and so that you enjoy it, so that you are already, excellent, I'm sure at what you do, but now you can enjoy that experience and actually, really quantum leap, your income, your influence, your impact dramatically. Okay, and it's very fulfilling. So if that resonates, then just comment down below, consult. Actually, let me just send that over. 1 second. Just bear with me. I just want to, because this will really help you. Okay, yeah. So here we go. So hope you can see that. So that's exactly what you can do. We can literally just go through that. Okay. And we can either go through that over Voxer or over email, or just DM me, as well. And then I'm going to send over these books, and that will really help you go through this process. Okay. And everything I've talked about in a little bit more detail. Okay. Sorry, I'm running through some of these things a bit faster, but it's all in everything I'm sending to you as well. Okay. And then if you really want to take things, to the next level, then really what you want to lean into is this. Okay. Now, this is really because obviously it's including all of that support as well, and that can really make a big difference. And it's really good, you know, with the workshops as well, that really go into all of these different elements of, you know, leadership, and in your own practice, and the way that you really bring that forward as well. Okay, there is also this level. This is the first tier. So that is more in like the course materials and more DIY, but there is also like a monthly, you know, element to that as well. But otherwise, really, I would say this is a really good, you know, level to sort of start with. Okay, and this is all, you know, part of my actual mastermind, the Wealthy Warrior Mastermind, which really is ultimate, where we really get your book done and get the service done and launched, and I really go deep at looking at every single thing alongside you. Okay, and that includes, you know, bi-weekly one-to-ones as well, and that includes all of the other tiers as well. So I'm going to send you the links. Okay, I'm going to send you the links so you can have a look at all of that in your own time. Just DM me if you've got any questions, you know, book your consult so that we can actually go through that bespoke to you, what's going on for you, and any questions you may have. There's a little audit to go through. It's just a couple of minutes. Okay, I would urge you to do this for yourself. I really urge you to do this for yourself, and to really look at, you know, how, you know, the old adage of, if you want things to be different, you're going to do something different. Okay, and this is it. This is the difference. Okay, of honestly coming into the mastermind. But the first two tiers of that are Resilient Leadership Academy and Legacy Leader. So whatever resonates with you, and I'm here to serve you. I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much. I'm going to do my afternoon clinic now. So, you know, like I said, you can do this alongside working full time with your family. You can do career and business like me. You can focus on one element, but honestly, leadership of yourself changes everything. It has a beautiful ripple effect for your team, your staff, your family, and it's just continuous evolution. There's like the next round. It is the hero's journey, but it is a continuous evolution through that. All right, so sending you so much love and light. I am going to also post a meditation that I'd love for you to do. The next step for you is to book your consult and audit. Get the books. Come and join us. Come and join us in the mastermind. That is the ultimate. That is the place to be. Okay, meaning not in terms of FOMO, but it just, honestly, if you really want to go all out with this and you want me in your back pocket, you know, and having our bi-weekly, you know, consults throughout the whole year. I mean, you will need a telescope to see how far you've come in a year. But if you are wanting to just sort of start out and kind of dip your toes, then start with the Resilient Leadership Academy. But otherwise, I would say Legacy Leaders Accelerator, because you get group coaching in that. It's only $5,000 for the whole year. And on top of that, you still get a one-to-one with me as well. Okay, so sending you so much love and light. So grateful to have you here. And I will see you tomorrow for the final day in this workshop this week. And that will be focusing on thriving, okay, and really some more actionable strategies. DM me questions. Love and light. Take care.